It ain't no trick to get rich quick.
If you dig, dig, dig with a shovel or a pick.
In a mine, in a mine, in a mine, in a mine, where 1,000,000 diamonds shine. We dig, 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 dig from early morn till night. We dig, 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 dig up everything inside. We dig up diamond files more, 1,000 rubies, sometimes more, but we don't know what we dig them for. We dig, 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 dig. Hi-ho! 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 It's home from work we go. Hi-ho! 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 It's home from work we go.
Get up out of bed and you might be a bit grumpy, knowing that you have to work, even though you don't really want to. Perhaps you might be a bit dopey as you arrive at work, a bit careless, making mistakes along the way, not taking your work very seriously, perhaps. Now, if you've just joined us, we're going through a series on work at the moment, on the topic of work, looking at how our faith on Sunday connects with our work on Monday. Now, by work, we don't just mean our paid jobs, but we mean a whole range of activities that might include things like studying or housework or looking after children or volunteer work or anything like that. Now, last week we started our series, and the first talk that we saw was that we learned three things. We learned that God is a worker. We learned, secondly, that we were designed to work. And thirdly, we learned that all forms of work is good. Now, it's meant to look like, it's meant to be good work, right? It's meant to be like the 7 dwarves going off to work, excited and happy about work. That's the picture that the Bible paints for us about work. And yet, there's a problem with that picture, isn't there? That kind of happy, cheerful, excited idea of work, it doesn't really fit our experience in reality, does it? I mean, most of us don't go to work happy and cheerful like that. We don't find work fun and enjoyable and satisfying. And instead of walking into work singing, we're often groaning, aren't we, on Monday mornings? And, on Monday we say, oh no, it's Monday again, Monday-itis, And when Friday comes around, finally, we say, oh, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. But we can't wait for work to be over. Right? See, if work is supposed to be this good thing that God has made for us, designed for us to work, why is it that work feels so bad then? Well, that's what we're going to look at today in our passage, and in several passages, starting with Genesis chapter 3. And this first passage tells us that work feels bad because our work has been cursed. And the Bible tells us that work is supposed to be good. It was designed to be good, but it has since been cursed. Now, last week in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, we saw that God made Adam and Eve, and He put them in the Garden of Eden to work it, to take care of it. But here in chapter 3, we see that they disobey God by eating from the tree that they were commanded not to eat from. And so as a result, their work is cursed. And have a look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 17. It says this. God says to Adam, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return. Right, since it was our work that caused the problem, so it will be our work that will suffer the consequences. Now, work itself is still good. Adam's work will still produce food. It will still produce plants and vegetation for them to eat. So work itself is still good. But now this work will be hard work. It will be painful work. You'll get tired. You'll get backaches. You'll get stress. It's work that will produce thorns and thistles. Right? Programmers will make new software. They'll produce something, but they will have bugs in it. Engineers will design bridges, but they will fail. Doctors will prescribe medicine, but they'll have side effects. Train drivers will drive trains, but they'll be late. Mechanics will fix cars, but they'll still break down. Right? You work, and yet it doesn't produce what you want. And you will work to put food on the table. Yes, there will be food to eat, but it will be by the with blood and sweat and tears, by the sweat of your brow, and you will work until you die. Now, Carmen and I, we've been married for about 6 years, but before we were married, I lived with a couple of guys. I lived with 4 other guys in the house, and we shared this house together. And in the house that we shared, in the backyard of the house was a swimming pool. And that was fantastic to have a swimming pool, particularly in summer. You come home on a hot day, you come home and you go straight in for a dip. Right? Very, very, very useful. And we often invite friends over and we have pool parties and things like that. So we loved having the pool around. The problem was, though, having a swimming pool is that you have to keep it clean. I don't know how many of you have swimming pools and whether many of you actually are involved in cleaning the swimming pool. I wasn't actually involved. It was delegated to one of my housemates. But, having a swimming pool means you've got to put chlorine in it regularly to keep the water clean. You've got to scoop out the leaves inside the swimming pool. You have to clean out the filter and I don't know what else. There's a bunch of things you've got to do to keep the swimming pool in working condition. And, having a pool was really great. But after a while, all that cleaning, all that, chlorine and stuff, it's just a lot of work, right? And the thing is, no matter how much you clean it, no matter how regularly you clean it, it always got dirty again. Right? You had to clean it every time you wanted to use it. You had to clean it, and so it was a lot of work. And so after a while, we just didn't bother cleaning it anymore. And that was okay for a little while. The chlorine kept working, but after a while, it started to change color. The blue clear water started to become green, and there was algae growing in it, and there were insects growing in it, and I don't know what kind of bacteria, and so it literally became a swamp in our backyard. Right? It was a dark green color. You couldn't see the bottom. And dark green pool. We didn't swim in it, of course, once it turned like that. See, but that's life, isn't it? Right? Our work is cursed. There's never an end to it. You clean it and it gets dirty again. Right? It's doomed to frustration. See, work was meant to be fun and enjoyable and satisfying. And yes, our work sometimes still is fun and enjoyable and satisfying. But quite often, it's frustrating. It's hard work. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's stressful. And work is a burden. And work is made worse by the people that you work with. Right? Any of you at school, at uni, you ever do a group project and you end up doing all the work because your group doesn't, pull their weight? Right? Or you're having to, at work, you have to fix up the mistakes of your colleagues. Or you have to deal with a demanding customer or suppliers who try to rip you off, or having constant interruptions to your work. Right? Work is frustrating in and of itself, but working with other people makes it even more frustrating. And the frustration might not just be with other people, maybe it's with yourself. Have you ever sat in the exam and you're looking at a question and you know that you know the answer to this. You know you studied this, right? And it's somewhere in your head. You just can't get it out there. It's on the tip of your tongue. You know the answer, but you can't get it out. Or you're cooking something, you're cooking dinner, or you're baking a cake, and you know what you're meant to do. You've done this before, and you know what it's meant to look like, but somehow you stuff it up. It just doesn't come out the way it's supposed to be. Right? And all these frustrations, the Bible tells us, is because our work has been cursed. Right? We were meant to work as people made in the image of God, to work like God, to work with God, to work for God. But instead of working with God, because of our sin, we work against God. Instead of working for God, we work for ourselves. And from Genesis chapter 3 onwards, we see throughout the whole Bible this kind of thing happening over and over again. People working for themselves rather than working for God. And we see that particularly in passages like Genesis chapter 11. So if you flick over a couple of pages, Genesis chapter 11 is just one example of how this kind of work continues. Genesis chapter 11 verse 1 says this: "Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As men moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, 'Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly.' They used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth.'" And you see what they were doing by their work? The engineers at the time came up with this new technology. They used bricks instead of stone, and they used tar for mortar, right? New technology. And what did they do with their work? They wanted to set themselves up as direct rivals to God. They wanted to make a name for themselves, it says. Right? They weren't working for God. They weren't working with God. They were working against God, and they were working for themselves. Now, Alain de Botton, which I'm going to flash up a picture for you. Alain de Botton, he's a popular atheist and philosopher. Quite popular. He's written a number of books. One of the books he's written is called The Pleasures and Sorrows of Work. And in this book, what he does is he visits a number of different workplaces, trying to kind of understand why do we work? What is this love-hate relationship we have with work? And trying to understand what makes work good, what makes work bad. Right? And this is from an atheist, a philosopher. So he visits different workplaces. He goes to like a biscuit factory in Belgium. He goes to an auditing firm in London. He goes to the Maldives to learn about tuna fishing. All these different unusual kind of workplaces. And one of the most unusual places he goes to is to France to see the launch of a spaceship. And he's there looking up into the sky as the spaceship goes off, and he sees all these stars in the sky. And this is what he says in his book. I'll give you this quote, which is on the next page, next slide. He says this: "There was an improbable density of stars in the sky, as if glitter had been prodigally scattered across a swathe of black satin. For thousands of years, it had been nature and its supposed creator that had a monopoly on awe. But now we are deep in the era of the technological sublime, when awe could most powerfully be invoked not by forests or icebergs, but by supercomputers, rockets, and particle accelerators. We were now almost exclusively amazed by ourselves." Now, what Alain de Botton is saying is that people used to worship God. We used to be in awe of what God has created. But now, we're more amazed at ourselves, at what we can do as mankind, because of the advances that we've made through science and technology. We're more in awe of our own achievements. You see, our work is no longer for God. It's for our own glory, to make a name for ourselves rather than to make a name for God. And so God is no longer part of our secular workplace. Right? There is no God to give meaning to our work anymore. And if there is no God to give meaning to our work, well, you've got to construct your own meaning then. Right? And work becomes your identity. Work becomes your meaning in life. And that might be expressed in a number of different ways. You might work to get money, for example. And so your salary becomes your identity. You might work to gain status. And so your position becomes your identity. You might work to get pleasure. And so your lifestyle becomes your identity. You might work to provide for your family. And so your spouse and your children become your identity. Right? And there are a whole host of reasons why people work and what they're aiming to achieve. But whatever it is you're working for, that will become your identity. Right? And you will become enslaved to your work. And your work will be a cruel master. It will make you work more and more. It will make you work longer and longer hours. It's always something more to chase, something more, always the next promotion, the next sales, the next pay rise. There's always something more to chase, but it will never satisfy you. Work is a cruel master. And there are many successful people who talk about their journey to the top, how they got to where they are in their career. and the difficult decisions they've had to make, the sacrifices they've had to make. And when asked, what is it like to be at the top? Many of them say things like, I feel empty. There's nothing at the top. I've spent my life searching, looking for something to satisfy, but it doesn't satisfy. You see, our work is cursed because we work for ourselves and not for God. So then what's the answer? What can we do about this work then? Well, the next thing we see, and that's the good news in the Bible, is that Jesus redeems our work. If you look over John chapter 17, in the Gospel of John chapter 17, John chapter 17, it's towards the end of the book of John, and Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, where he's going to be arrested, where he's going to be crucified, and 3 days later come back to life. In John chapter 17, Jesus is praying. Just before he gets crucified, before he gets arrested, he's praying. And this is what he prays. In John chapter 17, verse 4, he says, he prays to God and he says, I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work you gave me to do. Now, like everybody else, Jesus had to work. But notice what he says about his work. What kind of work did Jesus do? He says the work that God the Father gave him to do. Right? And why did he do this work? He did this work to bring glory to God. See, it's the opposite of Adam's work. It's opposite of our work. Jesus worked not to make a name for himself, but for God, to glorify his name. You see, Jesus, by his complete obedience to God, through his death on the cross, Jesus then restores to us, he restores work, rather, to its rightful place. And in doing so, Jesus redeems our work as well. Early in John's Gospel, in John chapter 6, Jesus teaches his disciples what it means for us to work as his disciples. John chapter 6, verse 27, here's what he says. He says, do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. On him God the Father has placed his seal of approval. Then they asked him, what must we do to do the works God requires? And Jesus answered, the work of God is this, to believe in the one he has sent. When Jesus teaches his disciples that there is a particular kind of work that is more important than putting food on the table or paying your bills. Right? He says our jobs, they give us food that spoils. But there is a work that gives us food for eternal life. And that work, Jesus says, is to believe in the one that God has sent. And it's to believe in his Son Jesus. But that's the work that we must do above all else. Now, I've got a son named Jake. He's 20 months old, and recently we came back from a holiday in Hong Kong. And we discovered in Hong Kong, the place where we were staying had wooden floorboards, whereas at home here in Australia we've got carpet, and it doesn't work in carpet. But in Hong Kong, on these wooden floorboards, he grabbed a stool, kind of like that one, but a bit shorter. He grabbed the stool and he was pushing it along the floor. Right? He couldn't push something like that on the carpet, but on the wooden floorboards it was smooth, it was easy to slide. So he was pushing this chair around, and he had a lot of fun, just pushing the chair up and down the corridor, all around the house, and bashing into things. And when he was pushing, he was very serious, very intent. Like this is his job, right? I got to push this chair, and I've got to get to the other end, and I've got to come back. Like he was very focused, very determined about pushing this chair. And one time, as he pushed the chair, and because there was like two chairs, so he would push this one and then grab the other one. Right? As he pushed one over and he grabbed the other one, I went and sat on this first chair to see what he would do, right? Because obviously he can't push the chair; I'm sitting on it. And so I go and sit on the chair, and he comes over. And he grabs my hand and he pulls me off, like saying, get off, right? I'm going to push the chair. So, okay, fine, I get up, I let him push the chair. Then he pushes that chair and someone else sits on that chair. It could be Carmen, it could be an auntie, or anybody else sits on that chair. He doesn't do anything. He is fine with anybody else sitting on that chair. So then I try to sit on the chair, and again, he pulls me away and starts pushing. For some reason, I'm not allowed to sit on the chair, but anybody else is. Anyway, he's pushing this chair along and he's having a lot of fun. But he's crashing into things, he's banging into furniture, he's banging into the wall, and sometimes, he'd get caught on something, and then he wouldn't be able to push anymore, right? He's either pushing straight into the wall, or he's catching up on the leg of something, and right, he's pushing, and it's not going anywhere. And he starts to get frustrated, he gets angry, and he's looking for help. And so, we've got to come over and we've got to kind of set him on the right direction, take it, put him back on course, and then he can start pushing again. Now that's kind of what Jesus is saying here. He's saying there is a primary work that you have to do first, and that is to believe in Him. That is, you got to get your direction right. You got to work at where you're going first. Right? You get that right first. You do that work first. Right? Set yourself in the right direction, and then you can push. Right? Then you push hard. If you don't get your direction right first, then you're just going to be pushing straight into the wall, and you're not going to go anywhere. Now you might be thinking, how does believing in Jesus, though, make any difference in my work? Well, it makes a huge difference. Right? Putting your faith in Jesus, believing in Jesus, the one that God has sent, makes a huge difference in your work. First and foremost, it changes who you work for. Right? You work for Jesus, and that's our third point, that you work for Jesus. We go back to the prayer in John chapter 17 that we looked at earlier, John 17. Later on in that same prayer, this is what Jesus prays in verse 15. Jesus prays, "My prayer is not that you take them out of this world, that you take the disciples out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. Sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world." So God sent Jesus into the world to do His work. And in the same way, Jesus says He is sending us, He's sending His disciples into the world to do His work, to continue His work. So Jesus doesn't want to take us away from the world. Right? Being a godly Christian isn't about, hiding at home or going to church and spending all your time reading the Bible and praying and things like that. So being a Christian is about being sanctified, being made holy, right? Verse 17. That's what being made holy. That's what being sanctified means, being made holy. Being Christian is about being sanctified and then being sent out into the world. Like Jesus said, "As the Father has sent me, so I have sent you." Being a Christian is going out into the world, into the schools, into universities, into offices, into construction sites, into homes, into restaurants, kitchens, into hospitals, into science labs, in the courtrooms, in the Parliament House, but wherever you are, wherever your workplace is, wherever your work takes you, Jesus is sending you into that place to be a godly Christian. Right? Being a Christian is not about being a Christian at church, it's about being a Christian in the world wherever you are. Right? That's why in places like Ephesians chapter 6, it can say things like this. Right? If you have a Bible, click over to Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6 says things like this. Verse 5. "Slaves, obey your earthly master with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favour when their eye is on you, but like slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not men, because you know that the Lord will reward everyone for whatever good he does, whether he is slave or free." Now, the Apostle Paul, he can speak to even a lowly slave and to say that even a slave in his workplace or her workplace is working for Jesus. 4 times in this short passage, 4 times in 4 verses, Christ or the Lord is mentioned. Right? Obey your masters as you would obey Christ. Like slaves of God, like slaves of Christ, do the will of God from your heart. Serve as one serving the Lord, and your reward will come from the Lord. Right? Paul is saying to slaves, look beyond your job, look beyond your paycheck, look beyond your boss, and see Jesus as your Lord, as your master. He's the one who sends you into that place to do His will. And in the next verse, he says the same thing to the earthly masters. He says, "Masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that He who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with Him." And we're going to look at this passage a bit more in detail next week. But basically, Paul speaks to both ends of the spectrum. He's both slaves and masters. And he says to both these people, at different ends of the spectrum, he says, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what kind of work you do, it doesn't matter what you get paid, it doesn't matter what position you're in. If you're a Christian, you're working not for men, but for Christ. And working for Jesus is much easier and better than working for any other boss, let me tell you. So if you work for anyone else, whether it's a person or whether it's yourself, whether you're working to achieve your dreams or your needs or whoever and whatever you work for, they will make you into a slave. They will be a cruel slave master. Your work will frustrate you. It will feel like a heavy burden. It will never satisfy you. But if you work for Jesus, Look what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 11. Quite a well-known passage. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. This is what Jesus says. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Now, I don't know if many of you know what a yoke is. I've got a picture of a yoke on the next slide there. That wooden thing across the neck of the ox there, that's a yoke. It's kind of like a handcuff for the neck. It's to be put around the neck of animals so they can work together. They can plough the field, pull the plough behind them. Now, Jesus is inviting us to put down our heavy yoke of cursed work that we do, and to take up his yoke, he says, which is easy and light. You see, working for Jesus means you are still a slave, but you are a slave to a good and kind master. There is still a yoke to bear, but it's a light and easy yoke. Because Jesus is a good master. He's a kind master to work for. He gives us satisfaction. He gives us joy, and he gives us rest. One of the things that we like to do with our son Jake, sometimes when he's a bit fussy, and sometimes we just take him downstairs because we live across the road to Woolies. And we take him to Woolies, and he's very happy in Woolies. We'll sit him in the trolley, and he'll go around waving to everybody. There's one particular staff at our local Woolies who really likes to see Jake because he's so happy, he's so sociable. So every time we come down, she's very happy to see him. And then Jake's sitting in the trolley, and as we take things off the shelf, Jake, he insists that if we pass it to him, it's got to go through him first. He'll hold it, and then if he's happy with it, he'll then turn around and chuck it in the trolley. If he's not happy with it, he'll chuck it over the side. But that's our shopping trip. That's what we do when we go to Woolies. And then when we finish, we go through the checkout and we come back home. And so we've got bags and bags of things. And Jake will sometimes, he'll want to help. He'll want to help carry some of the bags. Now the thing is, if you've seen him, he's only this high. He's a bit short. And he's not very strong yet. And so even though he wants to help, he's not really able to lift anything. But he insists. So he's pulling on stuff. He'll kind of whinge and stuff. He don't let it give him anything. So we give him a bag, but he's kind of just holding onto it. But he's not really lifting it. It's really me doing the heavy lifting, and he's just kind of holding onto the side and pretending to work. And I think working for Jesus is a little bit like that. Working for Jesus is easy because Jesus does all the heavy lifting. Jesus, he takes the burden for us. And we're just like Jake, holding on to the side, looking like we're working. Now, when you look at the picture of the yoke again, if you can just flash that back up a sec. If you look at the picture of the yoke, you'll see that a yoke is typically to link two animals together. I mean, there are single yokes, but they're not that common. Most of the time it's to bring two animals together. And when Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you," I wonder, and this is just a bit of speculation, but I wonder if Jesus is saying, "Well, come take my yoke, you take one side, I'll take the other side. And we'll carry this yoke together, we'll do the work together, and it'll be easy and light for you, because I want to take the heavy load. I'm going to do the heavy lifting here, and you just work with me, work together with me." I think Jesus is inviting us not just to work under him, with him as our master, as our boss, but he's inviting us to work with him, alongside with him. Just as God made Adam to work with him in the Garden of Eden, so Jesus invites us to work with him and work for him in the world. And I think often the reason why work is so frustrating and so stressful is because there are things that are out of our control, things that we can't deal with, things that we can't solve. And working for Jesus and working with Jesus means that, well, we don't need to be in control. We don't have to solve all the problems. Right? If we fail an exam, you might lose your job. You might have difficult clients. You might have a cruel manager. You might have kids that are rebellious and disobedient. So if you work for Jesus, then you can hand all of those things, all those problems over to Jesus. Let him do the heavy lifting. Let him deal with it. Right? Because he's saying, lay down your burden, lay down your heavy yoke, and take up my yoke, which is easy, which is light. So what have we looked at this morning? We started off by asking, if work is supposed to be good, why does work so often feel bad? And today we looked at three things. Firstly, we saw that our work is cursed because we often work for ourselves and not for God. Secondly, we saw that Jesus redeems our work by doing the work of God in his death and resurrection. And thirdly, we saw that we work now for Jesus, not for ourselves. And from that, I just want to draw out 2 brief points of application today. Firstly, if you want to find joy and satisfaction in your work, well, the first thing you need to do is to do the work of believing in Jesus, right? Get that right. That is crucial. You've got to get that right first, and then everything else will fall into place. And if you haven't done that, or you don't know how to, talk to someone about that. Talk to your Christian friends. Come and talk to me about it afterwards if you like. But talk to someone about how you can work for Jesus, how you can follow Jesus. Now, secondly, though, for those of you who are Christians, secondly, we need to set the right expectation for our work. Right? As Christians, there will still be times when work is frustrating and when it's hard or when it's boring, and we shouldn't be surprised when that happens. We shouldn't be surprised. It's something we should expect. It tells us in the Bible that our work will be hard. That is what cursed work is like in this world, where people work for themselves and not for God. And being a Christian doesn't automatically change our work so that work is fun and enjoyable. It will still be hard work. But we won't grumble as much and we won't complain as much because we understand why work is difficult. We understand why work is so hard. We understand that even though work is hard, it doesn't change the value of our work. But we strive to do good work in the midst of difficulty. Yes, it will take more effort to produce the same results. It will be with painful toil among thorns and thistles as we work by the sweat of our brow. But our work and the result of our work is still a good thing. It's still good and valuable. Now, there's still a lot of things I haven't unpacked yet today. What does it mean, for example? What does it mean to work for Jesus? What does that look like in practical real-life terms? And does it mean if we hand things over to Jesus, we just sit back and we do nothing? Does it mean working for Jesus means we all become pastors and missionaries? I mean, what does it mean concretely to work for Jesus? And they're the kind of questions that we're going to be looking at next week. So make sure you come back for the next talk in the series. But if you do have particular questions that you want to ask, feel free to email them to me. My email address is on the front of the bulletin. You can email them to me or you can ask me afterwards. But yeah, keep on thinking about what we've looked at this week and last week, because they're the kind of foundations for how we think about work as Christians. And then next week, we're going to kind of look at the more practical side, the real kind of application kind of stuff. So make sure you come back next week for the next talk.